Dun, 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 dun. Oh. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, everybody. Welcome to TPIM. I started live. I'm your host. True Power is Mine. And this is the People's Show. Today's date is January 16th, 2020, the year of our Lord. I want to take this time to thank all the longtime listeners, all the subscribers, all the people who write comments. Whether I agree with your comments or not, it's irrelevant. It's all about having a conversation. I want to personally thank you, Brother Marty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to be the first to be honest with everyone. You know, there's been a lot of stuff happening in my life here lately. Seems like when it rains, it truly pours. If you are into spirituality and you are into praying and you're into sharing your power, please, please, please pray for your host here. Tough times ahead. All right, with that being said, how would you guys feel like, let's just get right into it. We're going to be discussing a bunch of stuff today. First off, I want to thank the confidential informant who sent me this clip that I'm about ready to play. You guys, we are really in some perilous times. We are truly in some perilous times. So here, with that being said, let's share some information you normally wouldn't get.
Hours ago, this was announced. So this is some craziness. In Tamaulipas, it's controlled by the Zetas, and they found an extermination camp that they had. Yes, you heard right, an extermination camp.
I hope you guys understand what this man's saying. Okay? An extermination camp. People are already ending up in the ovens. You think this is a game? You think you can acquiesce to your little lives and somehow what's coming down the track is not going to come down the track? Oh, yes, it's going to be one of those shows today, folks. So if you don't want to be awakened to the truth, then you might want to turn back now. Spoiler alert. I'm going to tell you guys how the game's going to end today. Spoiler alert. Let's continue.
This is only comparable. The human rights people are saying this. This is their words, and I'm in agreement. It's my words. This is only comparable with what the Nazis did during World War II. And you're going to say, wait, no, listen, buddy, okay? It was 2 football fields in size, and it had over 47 working ovens. So put that in your head. That means constantly, 24/7, those 47 ovens were running on this 2 football field radius, and they were disposing of people. That's comparable to, if you ask me, what the Nazis were doing. It might not be on that big of a scale, but it's a pretty damn big scale. It's got to be close to some of the smaller camps that they had. If they were just constantly, those 47 ovens were just constantly burning people. So you'd ask, how were they burning that many people? Because where they're fighting in Tamaulipas, they're fighting the Gulf Cartel and other people. They're getting rid of a lot of people. They're catching a lot of chapolines. Now, chapolines are the people that are selling drugs around with your mafia. So they're referred to as grasshoppers or chapolines. I don't know why. That's just the word. I'm letting you guys in on it. So most of those people being burned are chapolines, are punteros. It could be the people or lookouts. So they could be them too. The lookouts, the people selling, for the other mafia, or it could be hitmen for the other mafia. And I'm sure there's plenty of innocent people too that they extorted and didn't pay, as I've said in previous videos. Don't.
Another thing I want to add. When you look at the missing persons reports, not just here in the United States, but from all over the world, where do you think some of these bodies that are obviously aren't going off world, but some of these bodies are actually ending up? If you have some sort of nasty snuff situation, the little ovens would be a great way to clean that up, right? Mad Jack Hunt, welcome to the show. Peace and power, brother. Thank you for waking up and getting up in here today. It's beyond just the United Snakes. You got to understand why Putin and Trump are so cool. This ideal of racial annihilation is permeated throughout the world, y'all. P Legal, Intel, welcome to the show, sister. Peace and power. I'm glad you got up as well and got up in here. We have to understand the same motivations that motivated all 100% of human sacrifices, aka war crimes, aka crimes against humanity. The same motivation for death and destruction's there. Absolutely, MJH. Absolutely. See, people don't want to talk about the basically the white or WS. Let's just say WS to try to avoid the censors. And I have a report about that coming up as well. When we look at the old saying, the greatest trick the devil did was to convince the world he did not exist. The only trick the WH can do is present to the world a world in which it does not exist, but yet it operates in the shadows until critical biomass is achieved, and then it comes mainstream. What I'm ultimately saying is, folks, it's really this simple. A lot of you knuckleheads running around here speaking on racial economics and racial this and racial that. Because we lack the numbers, we lack the tech. All you really are solidifying that white nationalists will come together seeking a common cause and purpose because these monkeys or these minorities or these beep or these niggers or these niggas are all coming together and it's scaring the hell out of these people. But I ask you from a tactical point of view, is that a wise move to make? Is it really wise to poke the hornet's nest when you lack protective gloves, when you lack protective face, when you lack a B-man suit all together, but you're still gonna hit the wasp? You're still gonna use your board, your little your little stick to hit that hive. And when your ass gets stung the fuck up, don't say you ain't been warned. Please don't say, because your passions, your frustrations, rightfully so that you have them, due to the fact of your condition of basically being a prisoner of war on this planet that used to belong to you. It's it doesn't mean nothing. It does not mean a damn thing. All your anger, all your frustrations, it does not mean a damn thing, because at the end of the day, if you do not have the power to either evade, escape, or confront WS, then by default, you're just going to be a victim. Let's continue. I'm not going to get too far ahead.
About that for a second. The Subsecretary of Human Rights, Alejandro Encinas, was the one who's actually responsible for making this discovery of the largest extermination camp yet.
Welcome, Sister CJ. Peace and power. Welcome to the show. Glad you made it.
Discovered here in Mexico. Now, I want you guys to think on a scale. This has probably been going on for years. So you think those 47 ovens are going all year round? You can imagine how many people that is. And the way that they were doing it is amazing. They were actually they chop them up beforehand and stick them in the oven because they burn better in pieces. Yeah. So the only reason this information was able to get out was because of a witness. There was a witness who basically you could say he left the Zetas, okay, and he became a witness for the government, and he led them to here, and he told them the process they used and so on and so forth. He couldn't remember exactly where it was, but he knew the exact area. And this guy that I told you, the subsecretary of human rights, is the one who actually had the balls to go in there, probably unarmed, and find this place. So it's crazy, man. This is actually some Nazi level stuff. The other day I did a video, a torture video on some. They did these two women, and they used Idi Amin style torture. They nailed her to a tree and let her own weight split her whole back open with the nail. So the level of brutality that's showing up is scary, to say the least. These are things that haven't been seen since World War II, and
I don't know exactly where he's been at. See, this is the one problem I do have. Okay, the Nazis, what they did is horrendous, but it's no more crueler than what men have been doing to man ever since man realized if he picked up a stone or a stick, he can club somebody over the head and take their shit. This Nazis are the supreme evil. Humanity is wrong. They're evil, absolutely. But there's people that you have never heard of that was infinitely worse than they were. The people who kicked off all the different biodiversity on this planet from the original strand. One could argue they are the mothers and fathers of this hate. They are the architects of the later genocides based upon creed, race, because we have never had a genocide where men just gathered up all the women and killed them just because they were women. We never ever had a genocide on this planet where women just gathered up all the men just because they were men and exterminate them. There's always been a racial, religious, or national reason behind the savage tree. And that all goes back to who taught us government to begin with, who taught us to divide ourselves into these little cliques or groups or corporations or countries, and to view your fellow human being as a enemy, as a combatant. If one was not careful, one could almost defer that for whatever reasons, some outside entity, force, consciousness intentionally set us on the wrong path as human beings. Brother DJ, welcome to the show. Peace and power. Let's continue.
and definitely haven't been seen in North America. And it's funny how the United States, me being an American citizen, as well as a Mexican citizen, always gets into wars in Iraq, and we always have this pretext, like a humanitarian pretext, that he's killing these people or he's doing that. They're massacring. They're this. They're that. Why don't they come down here or send some help down here?
Because they do not care about you. Will you guys understand? The people do not care about you. That's why they will give warlords weapons and money so that they can be warlords. You're brown. You do not matter. You're good for entertainment. You're good for coming through on vacation. You're good for sexually victimizing your women and children, even your men nowadays. You're good for exploiting your labor. You're good for being a scapegoat in many respects. Oh, you guys better stick with the party because these doggone illegals, like MJH just said, you're good for making money. As long as money's made off of your blood, your sweat, your tears, and your fears, you're all golden. But the moment you stop and you analyze your situation, because most of the Mexican nationalists that I have met when I was living in California, coming up here back in the day, now this was back in like 1999 through 2005, they were all basically Indians, Native Americans, indigenous peoples, as it were. They would attribute themselves, when you would talk to them one on one, they would attribute their culture to like the Aztecs. And I asked one, I'm like, Aztecs, it's your people, right? Right, right. Do you know how to speak their language or read their glyphs? And the dude looked at me like I was crazy because I said, correct me if I'm wrong, but the national language of Mexico is Spanish or Latin. That's not Aztec speak. All the Catholics running around there, that's not the Aztecs religion. That'd be like me sitting here right now claiming, because the country I live in, my I guess my surname, that I am actually a Saxon or a Norman or a British. But that's, see, what's basically happening now, folks. And this is not just in localized pockets of the world, but it's really a worldwide phenomenon. Traditional ancient groups' identities have been erased and usurped by pretenders to the throne. When you look at the people who are running around claiming to be Jewish, small hats, the chosen people, after closer analysis of their DNA components, we realize we're just dealing with Eastern Europeans, or I guess you could say Western Mongolian folks. Really depends on what point of view. But we're talking about people who come from the region that borders Europe, Africa, and Asia. That little tract of land. Now, why is that important? Well, the reason why it's important is because as we go through time and space in reality, and we come up to the time in space called 1948, some magical things happen. Now, here we really do have some disenfranchised folks in the United States of America referred to as Negroids or colored people who have actually been dispossessed from their ancestral homes, who've actually have a legitimate need for a homeland, for a place that we can be together without fear. But no, screw that group. Let's go to this artificial, basically Elizabeth Warren's, old school Elizabeth Warren's. We're Indians, we're Jewish. And let's make a place for them. Let's just carve out a swath. We'll call it Israel. And we'll just set up shop because it's going to provide a couple of things. One, we still have a lot of Catholics that enjoy the pilgrimage to Jerusalem, still have the legacy of the Crusades. But more importantly, we need a beachfront to get to that almighty oil. Also, it would be nice to have a southern western route to get the opium out of Afghanistan. Israel serves a huge purpose in the WS empire. Now, when I'm talking about white supremacy, I am not talking about the local white bigot, the local white guy that hates black folks or hates non-white folks. I'm not talking about him. That guy is just a human being that is trying to utilize every advantage he can or she can for their own personal well-being. I'm talking about the true white supremacists, the ones who calculate, set policies, presents folks with alternative lifestyles such as welfare or, geez, homosexuality. These people are the enemy of humanity. These people, when when the true paradigm shift hits, these people are going to be the ones who are killing themselves, not because the earth will finally be at peace, but because they can no longer engage in war. The government, MJH, as it is the people. If you do not like the U.S. government, it's because you do not like the majority of people who voted said government into place. It's truly a representation. Uh, I mean, I wish everybody would actually take one moment, go to the main channel, right? My main channel, and check out the video I did. What a redneck, a city boy, and a black man roadside chat. That should let you know what's. I mean, these were two random gentlemen that, like I said, I walked into the place. I was just gonna get me a little hamburger, going about my business. One approached me, and me being the talk wit that I am, I'm like, okay, you call me a young man, I'm gonna call you young buddy. You call me a boy, I'm gonna call you an infant. Whatever. So that's how it started off, but it ended up a great conversation. Three men sharing their ideals and truth with one another without yelling, without fussing, even on things I totally disagree with. Like when old boy said, was the Civil War wasn't caused by slavery. And I really had to break it down to it subtly because he went with the whole economic route. Oh, it's because of economics. And I was like, well, wouldn't have nothing to do with the fact that the Southern economic engine was run by free labor, aka slavery. And you would have saw his face, you would have seen the lights click on. Or the other, there was two veterans. One was kind of religious, the other guy wasn't so much. The non-religious guy, when I asked, so how many Jews did the United States government throw into the oven? And then I paused for a second intentionally. Then I asked, so why is the United States paying reparations to Israel? The non-religious white guy was like, yeah, what the fuck? The religious white guy went right into religious WS supremacy. He said, well, those who curse Israel are cursed. Those who bless Israel are blessed. There it is. Bada bing, bada boom. So when Israel does whatever, well, that's because they're God's chosen people. Even though statistically speaking, there's more atheists and homosexuals in Israel per capita than any other country in the world. So why is this? How are they God's chosen people when we know they don't act conducive to what God wants for his people? If you go by the laws written in the book, if you go by the book. If you don't go by the book, then who knows? Who knows what's up? Let's continue this report because there's many more stuff to get to.
Because they wouldn't get anything out of it. They get more off the war of drugs and playing this game. You see, it's a game they're playing. They like this. Let's go. The government likes this. The United States and the government of Mexico. Okay, because the Mexican government receives funding for the war on drugs, huge funding. And the United States, well, look how much our legal system gets out of people arrested on drugs, off legal fees, off fines, off their slave labor in prison. It's the police officers that get paid to do that. So if they did legalize drugs, it would break the economy of the United States. Imagine all the police officers, all the judicial system, just all these people, the prison systems would collapse because almost all it's all drug cases.
They wouldn't collapse, buddy. I hate to tell, dude, on that. They'll just refocus. Instead of running around here worrying about drugs, they'll just run around here worrying about, hey, your car lights out, you're jaywalking. The war against black folks will still continue, so you don't have to worry about that. You see, since we have all been victims of propaganda, we've all been victims of basically group, well, indoctrination. That should be the correct word. Group indoctrinations. Many of us who went to public schools all of our lives, definitely indoctrinated. Many of us incapable of critical thinking because of the fact that for oppressed people, being a critical thinker is a fast way to get killed, fast way to be X out, not only by the so called enemy, but by your so called own people. Some of the most successful black folks, Wiley, welcome to the show, Peace and Power, will be considered, I guess, non confrontatory, non revolutionary, and pretty much for the most part, conformist. You think I'm lying? I ask you, what revolutionary ideals or concept does Oprah Winfrey portray? What revolutionary concept or information does Iron or what Alan Byron or Byron Island, the Weather Channel guy, what does he portray? And the listing just goes on and on and on. Serena Williams, the tennis queens, the Miss Universe lady. What what are they promoting that's anti establishment? You're not going to get that message from successful black folks. You're not, or successful white folks, or successful Latin folks, or successful Asian folks, or successful people in general in this economic environment. You're not going to get that. You know why? Because in order to win the economic game, you are going to submit to WS. Whether you acknowledge this consciously or subconsciously, your actions, your message will be in line with that agenda. If not, then you won't have an agenda. You won't have space and you won't have airtime. It's only through the grace of the Most High that this show is as popular as it is. But there's a huge price, even for this production, that's being paid. A huge price. So, this is why I tell you, brothers and sisters, we have to work together. At this point, if we don't work together for common cause and purpose, dudes and dudettes, we are signing our death certificate. We are signing our enslavement for future human generations. And you might not be bowing down to another human. So keep on playing your little racial bullshit games that was given to us by things that are not of us. Keep on playing your little sexual fucking domination bullshit games that was given to us by things that are not even of us. Keep being cruel to the people in your family, to the people in your circle, to the people in your lives, just because you want to ascertain economic stability. Because I tell you, brothers and sisters, at the end of your time, at the moment of your departure from this realm, you had better hope and pray which is kind of weird because typically you probably wouldn't be hoping or praying prior to that. So why would you start at that point? That there is no most high. And you truly get to go on to oblivion, to nothingness, which is a joke. Because the reality is, every deed goes into the record book. Now, I'm not saying I have access to the record book or any other human beings. I'm not saying that. But I do and sincerely hope that those who have been done wrong in this life will be vindicated in the next. Those who have done good in this life will be vindicated in the next. Because if it's just a situation where all the pain and suffering, all the people ending up abused by fellow human beings, those actions goes unpunished, then what the hell? I mean, it's almost like the new Star Wars movie, right? If if you use the light side of the force, you can only heal people. But if you use the dark side of the force, you can just, keep on coming back to life whenever the hell you want to. It becomes a rapidly, easily insane choice which side of the force you're going to use, right? Light or dark. Well, which brings me to a side note. I'm going to side note for a second, then I'll come back to this gentleman here. I just want to let you guys know, talking to a gentleman, sharing with me some breaking down of the Star Wars, the new Star Wars. All right. In like a Messianic kind of way. For one, you have the ultimate Mary Sue, Rey. Totally unstoppable. Totally just badass. Don't even really have to train. Can do feats of wonder. All right. But what were they toying with in that movie at the end? They were toying with the evil white boy, Kylo Ren, who worshiped his arguably fascist Nazi grandfather, Darth Vader, who at the end of the flick, the reason why they call it the rise of the Skywalker, now peep game, this is the mental alchemy, spiritual alchemy they're putting in this shit. At the end of the day, basically one could argue the hate-filled Kylo Ren, even though I don't believe he ever called Finn a nigger, but he was basically that guy, the racist guy. He quite literally, in order to be redeemed, he has to give up his life as a man and become a woman. The person that you see that walks away at the end, when old boy asks, well, what's your name? Rey Skywalker. People are missing that point. The correct answer should have been, what's your name? Kylo Ren. Because that's who was in that body. Rey was gone. Kylo was in her body. In other words, it was an example where Bruce Jenner, I'm sorry, YouTube, please don't ban me. I made an honest mistake. I'm just a humble YouTube content creator. And Caitlyn, different bodies, same spirit. All right, let's get back to this.
So this is something that's not going to stop, and I think there's bigger things than this going on. On this level, might just be a start. I think after this is all calmed down, hopefully, if it does calm down, when cartel takes control and Mexico becomes a calm place, a lot more things will be unearthed that the Zetas and people like that were doing. I think this is commonplace for them, and just think about that: 2 football fields, 47 ovens. So it's thousands, and There's families that are trying to do DNA, like trying to from their remains, because there's piles of ashes and piles of bone and stuff, and that's sad. You know, they're just sifting through it to try to find if there's a bone that's not that burned but might have a little bit of DNA inside. And
This is coming from P Legal, yeah. Narco terrorism combines criminals from both the East and the West. Iran Contra, anybody? And narcotic traffickers are unprincipled and amoral at levels that most people can't even imagine. Oh my God. Sweet, sweet truth. Sweet truth be told. That last bit, there ain't no getting around that. There ain't no getting around the lack of morality in these individuals. Let me share a story with you to illustrate the sister's point. Back in 1994, I had the mispleasure of hanging out with a coworker in their natural habitat. This was actually South St. Louis or St. Louis County, um, off of Butler Hill Road. There's some apartments. 55, Highway 55, one of the main arteries in this region that connects so much of the state, well, actually the Missouri, to other states. You drive up 55, you make a right there, and then make another left, and you get into this apartment complex. Okay, the apartment complex were like working class. I believe at the time, like a 2-bedroom apartment was going for something like, I don't know, 800, $500, something like that. Not too terribly expensive. Well, I was hanging out with my buddy, and what was his basically his roommate was, for lack of better words, let's just say a door-to-door cocaine salesman. That's what dude did for money. All right. His roommate and myself, we were construction guys. We built houses. Well, I was hanging out over there one day, drinking beer and all that, because I don't do cocaine or no shit like that. And the dude that was, he does what he does to make his money, which he actually had way more money than me or my friend. But he brought a girl over one day. And we're sitting around drinking, smoking cigarettes, whatever. And he said, "Do you guys want to see something cool?" Of course, being young guys, we're always down to see shit cool. I didn't know what, no one knew where he was going at with this. He brought in a dog. I don't know where he got the dog from. Never saw this animal before in my life around those parts. I mean, I've been over there to their house, their apartment a few times, but I never saw that dog over there. Never even smelt a dog in that house. But what I saw after that made me sick. Good morning, Brother Smith. Peace and power. And I'm so glad the Dominican Republic is in the house. Thank you, thank you, thank you, brother. He made that girl go down on that dog in front of all three of us. To conclusion, to the end of the deal. And it's just this still turned my stomach. This is why I'm saying I have bear witness to so much craziness. Sister Barbara, welcome to the show. Peace and power. To so much depravity in my life. I think in many ways the reason why I go so hard in the show is to somehow stand up now when I should have stood. I should have stood up, y'all. Instead of laughing and thinking that was somewhat entertainment, I should have stood up and said, hell no, this is wrong. This is sick as fuck, yo. But I didn't. And I feel like a fucking coward for not standing up for the righteous back then. But I will not allow that to happen moving forward. I see unrighteousness. I see power plays like that. I'm going to point that shit out and I'm going to stand on righteousness because I see what happens when you don't. W or MW, welcome to the show, brother. Yes, that's exactly what I just said. And I'm also saying I was too much of a fucking coward to kick that motherfucker's ass, snatch that little chick up, and take her back to her parents or wherever the hell she came from. I should not have allowed that shit to go down. I should not have allowed that shit to go down because that was somebody's fucking daughter, by God. But you only get this type of, I guess, awakening after the fact. Now, that was many, many years ago. Now, I don't know what happened to the roommate or the chick, and who knows what happened to her. you know but I can tell you from observation, if the girl was not on those hardcore drugs, I doubt very seriously where she would engage in that type of behavior. You see, yeah, I think so, brother Smith. I think I was in shock, and I think by laughing it off and drinking even heavier, basically that was my coping mechanism. You know what I'm saying? That was my because everybody, they were like, even the girl was like, because she was whacked out on drug, you know. And I'm not proud to say these things. In fact, I wish I could say other. I wish my life could have been the cupcake life, bro. I wish I could have been like, yeah, man. I've always seen people being uplifted and given opportunities. No, no, no. Unfortunately, it's been a lot of the opposite. I've seen victims of the systems. I've seen victims of other human beings who had a little something, something. I've seen victims of themselves for being too weak to realize their own self fucking worth. That's what I've seen. And I wish, now I guess this is fantasy thinking, but I wish I had the ability to save them all, to save them all. But I know that in itself isn't correct. It goes back to what Brother Bay has said. If you're fighting on someone else's team, then who's fighting for you? And then who's on your team? If you're fighting so hard on someone else's team, then who's fighting for you on your team? I'm on team human. I'm on team righteousness. I'm on team morality. I believe that women should be respected. I believe that their ideals and opinions should be valued. I believe that men should be respected. I believe that men's ideals and opinions should be valued if they're righteous. And that's for both sexes. As we go on down this evolutionary experience called life, as we grow, as we mature, as we start seeing the world not as we want it to be, but as it truly is, and hopefully having these real conversations, having these real deep talks will change people's thinking, thus changing the behavior. There's no reason why we should have all the poverty in this world, other than the fact that the system, the monetary systems that are in place all over the world, there's not one place in the world that's not controlled by a monetary system that's all tied together, requires for there to be scarcity so that the bulkness of that society will stay on point and stay waking up and put moose straps on and going out, putting in work. Let's continue.
You can imagine. So there's all these family members throughout Tamaulipas. There's thousands of missing people. They're all coming here to see if they can find a piece of their loved one or identify their loved one if he was there. Maybe a piece of his clothing or something he had, a little trinket that wasn't worth anything that they left on the ground. Who knows? His wallet they threw or without any money. Who knows? So there's all these people hoping to be able to identify their loved one just so they can stop looking for him and say that they passed away. They need that that end to it. They need an end. They need some closure. That's the word I was looking for. They need closure, and it's crazy. Tamaulipas is crazy. Hopefully this all ends, but I don't see that happening at all. And I did another story I remember about they were just dumping bodies in sort of a funeral parlor, and it was like 500 bodies. This dwarfs that. They were doing those 47 ovens. They were saying it takes 6 hours to burn a body in there. So that's four bodies for each oven a day. Okay, so just in one day, they were doing 188 people. Reported on previously another story about the mother and son. This dwarfs it. This is they were doing that in 3 days. So in a week that's about 1,000 people. About 50. So there's about 50,000 people a year. To give a rough estimate. And you said it's too high. That's not too high. There's 400,000 people every year reported missing. Those are the reported missing. There's a lot more that aren't reported because everyone cares about them. So let's say that's 400,000. You take those 50, that's just an eighth of it. So just about an eighth of it is going on in Tamaulipas and where the Zetas are. And that makes a lot of sense. I thought it's definitely higher. There's going to be a lot more than that because they are responsible for the majority of the violence that's going on. And the brutality is well known. There's no doubt. I've discussed this on Atwood where the brutality came from. And they were most of them were made up of ex-military, Mexican military. Lots of them were trained in the United States. If I remember correctly, Fort Bragg. They also received training from once they formed the cartel from Guatemalan mercenaries called the Caibeles. And I did another story where they capture two Caibeles, the Sinaloa cartel that were training Zetas. So that they'd show up and they just do terror tactics, man. That's their game. That's how they do they're not trying to win anyone over. They're trying to terrify everybody and just control them. So it's definitely a different way of life, and I feel sorry for the people who live out there. And the fact this packs in Mexico, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So 50,000 people a year were being exterminated just in that camp. Sounds like a Nazi death camp to me. No one's reporting.
Correction. They were actually called Nazi concentration camps. Death camp was added later for propaganda purposes. I mean, it is what it is. People died there. I'm not saying people did not die. Yes, they absolutely died there. And that was the purpose of it, but they were called concentration camps. I just want to say that just so that when people, when the pandemic hits and you hear that, there's concentration centers, you better understand where you run into, okay? Now, I want to switch gears real quick. This is coming from Twisted Truth, okay? Good news. I did reach out to them. So hopefully they may be coming on the show as a guest, which would be awesome. But I want to address something. Now, you guys know that I'm extremely interested in the UFO phenomenon. We've had John Lear, Jordan Maxwell, Paul Hellner, Paul Hellner, all on the show. They're all respected ufologists. So I'm quite versed in the I guess the mainstream version of the UFO phenomenon, but even myself, I've witnessed things in the sky myself. So, I don't need to be converted. I know that there's aliens out there, and I know straight up that one day that's what's going to end misogyny. That's what's going to end hate, and that's what's going to end nationalism. That's going to end a lot of strife. It's going to open up new strifes, though. Okay, let me break it down. No matter what you do, you're still going to do what the system wants. The system wants total control, right? Well, the system's going to get that whether they use narco terrorists or rogue governments or whatever to scare everybody into compliance or into underneath the umbrella, or they're going to use the external threat, meaning that there's going to be a warlike species that has their, I guess, warlike activities placed upon us. So it will be basically a situation where it's humanity versus X creatures or whatever. That's when a lot of this nonsense will hopefully rub away. And it's really such a sad thing that it's going to take war for us to end a self-imposed war amongst ourselves. The earth is quite literally the mothership for all humanity. The earth is our spaceship. We are already all cosmonauts, astronauts. We are explorers of space and time right now as we continue the journey of life. Let's continue with Twisted Truth. Putin's addressed cabinet members and the Anunnaki of Iran.
In Iraq, and President Donald J. Trump threatened retaliation.
The Black Zionists, peace and power. Welcome to the show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hold on, let's start this from the beginning.
In the movie Crimson Tide, there's trouble in Mother Russia. A much underrated movie, by the way. As of today, the entire Russian cabinet of ministers has resigned. I learned of this as I was working on translating a piece I received of a conversation Russian President Vladimir Putin had with the cabinet of ministers 2 days after the Iranian attack on coalition air bases in Iraq. This is a transcript of his speech. I received it in Russian. I had to do the translation myself using Google Translator. So there may be minor translation errors in it. Please understand. After Iran launched a cruise missile barrage at coalition air bases in Iraq and President Donald J. Trump threatened retaliation, Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed the federal cabinet of ministers, warning them that premature conflict in Iran might anger Anunnaki in the region and motivate the vile creatures to broaden their battlefield. His address took place 2 days after the Iranian assault. What reads here is a full transcript of his comments. On 8 January, Iranian forces under orders of Ayatollah Khomeini launched a missile strike on 2 Iraqi air bases housing American soldiers. The attack seemed to have been calculated to restrict damage to certain targets and to avoid causing human fatalities. Our intelligence learned of the attack 3 hours prior. I at once reached out to the Ayatollah, telling him that while I do not approve of American forces in the region, attacking them in response to the death of General Soleimani might provoke not only an American response, but also anger a non-indigenous species, the Anunnaki, in the region.
Bam. Listen, y'all. Remember when John Lear told us about how he used to fly over there in Kandahar? Told us the story of the giants, redhead giants, human-eating giants. There's reasons why there's certain places, certain land, even here in North America, that seems to be almost off limits. Now, no one says there's off limits, but no one naturally goes there. I wish I could emphasize this. I wish there was some way for me to truly articulate. Most High, please, please, please give me the gift of tongue so I can reach the right ears this day. Sisters and brothers who hear my voice right now, you all are all the vanguard for humanity. Our species is quite literally just a tiny blip in the overall scheme of things. But our treachery, our lack of unification, our lack of righteousness is the true knife to our collective throats. Our wicked, deceitful ways, our evil deeds, our nasty disposition is quite literally the true blade at our own throat. We will openly tell our youth it's better to vote for the lesser two evils. We already lost the principle right there. We already lost the morality right there. We already lost righteousness right there. If we're not righteous, then ultimately, and this ain't no from a certain point of view shit, then ultimately we're not even worthy of life. If you're not righteous, you're not worthy of life. You're really just taking up space. You're really just floating around, peeping out opportunities to either abuse or con naive individuals. The reason why, and I want to take the superheroes like the League of Justice. Back in the 80s, that was like the good guys, the League of Aquaman, Spider or not Spider-Man, Aquaman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. But the reason why they fell, because they would go up against the evil guys, the bad guys, right? But they would never just straight up take the bad guys out. Oh, we can't, we can't take bad guys out because we're good guys. Even though they're stronger, like Superman can fly around, pick up buildings, pick up whatever. So because he actually had the power and the premises, he was a moral individual and righteous individual. What type of world would it have been if he would have started just taking out dictator after dictator after dictator, and then warlords pop up, he takes them out, and then just the average criminal pops up, takes them out? What would have been the consequence? Would you have had more of a righteous world? Now, of course, this is all fictional. No one's even suggesting that Superman's world. I'm not saying that. But there are a lot of men out there and women out there who who are like I was, quite literally in a situation where you're seeing unrighteousness unfold right before your very eyes and you do nothing. You do nothing. This is what enables evil to percolate rather throughout history. This is what allows evil to be inherited by a new generation. This is why evil continues to come back like a bad Friday the 13th movie, Jason. We're fixing to see another mass extermination event on this planet, but no one wants to talk about it. Is it because the targeted audience is already so thoroughly bastardized in the conscious and psyche of the nation, damn near the planet? Or is it maybe because we ourselves do not care about our fellow men? In other words, we are not, I repeat, we are not our brother's keeper. We are our brother's abuser. If that's the type of world you want, yeah, guess what? That's the type of world you're going to get. You're not going to have a world that's built upon righteousness and the laws of society. You're going to have a world that's built upon unrighteousness and hypocritical laws being imposed on society. It will quite literally be do as I say, and I will do it as I wilt. That's the type of world we already have. Let's continue. Twisted Truths report. Only 4 more minutes. Believe it or not, the first report that I started doing was only 11 minutes, and this other report's only 6 minutes. So that's only a total of 17 minutes. But somehow it already has a blown. Oh my God. We're almost at 1 hour mark. Oh, shit. I'm going to try to speed this up, y'all, because there's just so much I want to get into that.
I suggested he delay his attack until we learned of the creature's disposition in his country, but I was told things were in motion that could not be undone, that America could absorb the damage and not respond, or America could respond militarily and watch Haifa and Dubai be destroyed. Shortly afterward, I contacted the White House and spoke with the American president. I warned him of the imminent attack. Surprisingly, he told me his nation had learned of Iran's intent about the same time we had, and that he and his officials were weighing a measured response if Iran carried through. I told President Trump, who has recently been receptive to my comments and concerns of Anunnaki intrusions, that attacking Tehran or other Iranian locations would likely provoke Anunnaki in the region to attack his nation. I told President Trump that Anunnaki in the region consider Iranian territory sacred ground, that enraging them might force it into a war his nation is ill-prepared to handle. I told him of our own trials against the Anunnaki and how we incurred massive losses after engaging these disgusting monsters in Syria. I informed him that our special services are equipped with technology to effectively fight the Anunnaki, but are not yet ready to move on their coven in Iran. I asked him, in the name of humanity, to not respond to Iran's attack. President Trump told me he would consider my words and take up the situation with his secretaries of defense and state. As we now know, President Trump heeded my advice and may have prevented unstoppable escalation of the Anunnaki conflict. We have repeatedly pointed out that America's presence in Syria and Iraq are unwanted, and there are colleagues of mine who wish war with America because of this. The real threat to our sovereignty comes from space, not overseas, and I emphasize this to President Trump. I also revealed to him what I have already said to all of you, that in the coming months I intend to amend the Constitution, naming the Anunnaki as a primary threat we must face, not unilaterally, but as part of a global coalition determined to save humanity from an enemy that indiscriminately destroys us. I have instructed Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and other relevant departments to analyze the level of threat posed by the aforementioned actions of the Anunnaki to our country and take comprehensive measures to prepare asymmetrical response. All assets and finances needed to combat the Anunnaki will be made available. This is not debatable.
And just think, if the Anunnaki's not real, there's always human targets. You can use all these resources and basically mobilizations efforts onto. For those of you who pray, and I know we got a mixed crowd here. You know, we have atheists, we have Luciferians, we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have Hindus, we had non-denominational Christians, we have Catholics, we have a whole gambit of all the folks of the earth come to this channel. Thank you. Seriously, it's almost like we're the UN here without the grossness of the UN. I've said this and I'll say this before again. We are one. The human race, we're one. Now, if we ever get it together and truly mobilize in a conducive way, using our intellect, using our scientific approach to solving problems, there will be nothing that stands before us. But if we keep on defaulting to falsehoods, to spiritual lies, to incorrect religious dogma that was placed there by entities, not of us, but purposefully, this information was placed there for us to keep us in a technological dark age. In other words, it would be on par with the Catholic Church sending out missionaries back in ancient times to ensure that folks in North and South and Middle Americas would never unite to facilitate a technological situation or economy to where they rely on each other so that when 1492 rolls around, they have cannons themselves to repel Columbus and the boys. The same gag was done in Kemet or Africa, also in India and Asia. You purposefully send out emissaries to twist up the local population's minds. We have to understand that what goes around comes around. If decent people do not stand up and be like, you know what, we need to make a right of this horrendous wrong. We need to show these folks that we care for them, not care for them like they're our pets, but we care for them because they are our brothers and sisters. We appreciate them. We value them. That's why we are going to set forth reparations so that people can start the process of self-repair. If we don't want to repair this process, or if you are this group of people, this population, if you forsake, you hate, then really you're hating your own salvation. Melanin, as we all should know, is carbon. Carbon's one of the most fundamental building blocks in the whole universe. We can either build upon the gift that God has bequeathed to all of us. We can build on these blocks to make a true human empire, one that we can be proud of, one that can use our own racial mistakes. And when we finally set out on our path into the cosmos, we could identify those who are making the same mistakes that we made, and we can offer the same solutions that we find. I know that's a lot of dreaming and overcoming and hope above all else. But what else do we have, brothers? Sisters, what else do we really have? Many of you folks who are awake, God bless you. Many of you brothers and sisters out there who are truly awake, every day that you're still in the grind mill, every day you're still fighting this overtly and covertly oppressive system, adding stress, adding more frustration. I say, let that all go. We will win. We will win. We will win. If not, we will be all destroyed. To my white nationalist brothers and sisters who have hate quite literally in your hearts for melanated people, you want us all dead. Or if not dead, you want us all re-enslaved, physically, mentally, and financially. I want to say something to you guys. If you would use your same vigor, your same energy that consumes you for hate, if somehow, some way you could convert that into love, we would have heaven on earth. Same thing is true for my melanated nationalists and my Asian nationalists and Latino nationalists, because you guys typically are the warriors. I'm trying to purposefully talk to you warriors now. Hopefully you guys are hearing me with headbuds and no one else is around so we can have this conversation. If you men would get together, the pedophiles would have to run away. The rapists would have to hide. The one who would sell children drugs would not show their fucking face. The one who wants to beat up and abuse old people couldn't be hanging out. The ones who wants to be cruel to animals and cut them up and hurt them in various ways. Wouldn't allow that. But it's because of our dissolute unity. It's because of us basically at each other's throats. We are never fulfilling a true warrior capacity for the rest of humanity. The weak are being victimized because the strong is too busy jockeying for position. Brother Lindell, peace and power. Welcome to the show. You warriors, whether you're white, whether you're yellow, whether you're brown, whether you're black, or whether you're a mix of all the said above, one thing is true. Your muscle, your flesh, and your soul is human. Brown, welcome to the show. Peace and power. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad all you made it, actually. And the day that you warriors reconciliate is the day that what this man is talking about ain't gonna go down. Because us men would crush these motherfuckers before they ever put another soul into those fucking ovens. The only thing meant to go into the oven is non-human flesh and vegetable material to make pies and cakes and things of that nature. It is not meant for us. You guys are one of the greatest creations in the universe. I'm talking about humanity as a whole. It's one of the greatest, most wonderfulest, beautiful beyond compare in the whole universe. Let that sink in. And for all you older folks, you should know exactly where I'm going at with this. Whenever someone sees you with your beautiful wife or handsome husband and they have nothing, they possess none of that, what happens? They become jealous. You're sitting here with tentacles and no hair and all nasty and yuck. And you see a beautiful man, beautiful woman, eyes, nose, arms, legs, feet, hands, toes, teeth, mouth. You get jealous. You're sitting there looking like a cross between a damn cucumber and a squid. And you see these beautiful humans, you get jealous. We have to realize people are jealous of our beauty. And what I mean by people, entities, because they're not human. They're jealous of our status in the universe. Even though we are not a seafaring race, or not seafaring, a spacefaring race yet. They're jealous. And yes, Lyndall, we should fear aliens to the extent that they truly have no love, no compassion for us. The spirit is telling me to let this man here play, and then we'll jump back to truth. But I have to wrap this up in the next like 15 minutes because I don't want a super long video.
Reporting this, you won't see this on the news. They'll report on some old lady who got shot and robbed, or some Black Lives Matter shooting, or something. I'm not saying anything. I agree the police are abusive and shouldn't be shooting black people. I'm in agreement with that. But I'm just saying, how are you going to report on that over this? It just it leaves me speechless. So there's a lot bigger things going on in the world that don't show up in the news, and I hope everyone subscribed. I appreciate that I'm getting this information out there, and I hope you guys stay informed. And don't believe everything you see on the news, and they don't report on anything anyways, unfortunately. So I'm gonna try to get this channel up and going again. Um, we'll see what's cracking. I hope you guys get the word out on it. If you could do that for me, if you guys could subscribe. I almost got no likes on these videos. I'm getting views but no likes. So if you guys could like, subscribe, notifications, and share, because I'm just starting up again. That'd be a big help. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's just a quick. It's not as long as the normal stories because I don't have as much as information. It just came out, but I want to be one of the first people to get it out. If not, I'll probably be one of the only people, unfortunately. Um,
You're not alone. You're not alone, brother. TPIM SR Live is here as well. We'll get it out. And then I want to play Twisted Truth. And this is pertaining to Putin. Talking about the Anunnaki. Please research Nairubu. Nirburi. I think Nairubu. The red planet, the crossing planet, the 10th planet. It goes the bearded planet. It goes by so many different names. I think a lot of you guys will find that topic very interesting. Nairubu, the red planet, the bearded planet, the crossing planet. And let's check that out. Now let's play this, and then we'll be wrapping the show up.
Russia will remain open to equal and constructive dialogue with the United States of America and other nations that share our goal to eliminate the alien threat and seek to restore confidence and strengthen global security from all hostile extraterrestrial creatures. And that is the end of the transcript. And of course, this, with today's revelation that the Russian cabinet has resigned, I believe there is a connection. I am already receiving some information on that. And as I receive more, I will prepare a complete article for publication. So after the Iranian attack, Russia's resources to combat the Anunnaki, and shortly thereafter, the cabinet resigned. If you really do appreciate us, please consider making a small PayPal donation or otherwise to help us out. Link PayPal.
Can I say one thing before I go? Right here. Eminem compares himself to Manchester Arena bomber on new track. If Eminem's all pro reparations for black folks, I mean, he's been in the game, right? He's been down, right? How come I've never heard him comment on, I think black men and women deserve reparations for what going, he's quick to write a rhyme or two. Pretty quiet on the reparation issue. Now I was looking at some of these headlines. Apparently some of our soldiers did get hurt in the Iran attack. This one for you young folks, older folks ain't gonna give a damn, but you younger folks, what happens when the Fed stops pumping? Central bank officials defend operations. What happens is that basically confidence in the market plummets. People make a run for financial institutions, so liquidity goes bye-bye. Liquidity means actually taking the bullshit numbers on paper and transforming it into tangible money you hold in your hands. That's liquidity. On paper, I may be worth $1 billion, but in reality, when it's time to actually pony up, I might only be able to manufacture or produce maybe 100 million. I'm worth $1 billion, but I can only produce in reality $100 million. Yes, exactly, Lindo. A run on the bank. So that's pretty much on its way. Treasury brings back 20-year bonds. BlackRock actually, I think they reported a little bit less than positive earnings. Hold on 1 second. Let me look that up. I want to make sure, because this is very important, because apparently it seems like if we don't have a banking system, we can get attacked by whatever and we won't do nothing because we don't have an economic system. BlackRock investments. Hold on. Activists revised to Black Rights Climate Change investment strategy. Blow past 7 trillion milestone. Okay, so it was basically that article there. Obviously, you can see that I've been there. I read that one about the 7 trillion. Okay, but that's totally different. There's some other stuff. Oh, Joseph Goebbels. There he is, a propaganda troll. A Brazil cultural minister sparks outrage by echoing Goebbels. All right. So why is that important? Why is this important, Yao? What did this brother right here just tell you? People are being thrown in the ovens. I told you guys keep. I mean, ever since last year, watch Brazil. Watch Brazil. Watch Brazil. All right. Huge exercise could jam GPS for planes flying in Southwest. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What do we got here? Now look, before I go, look at these three guys right here. Boom, boom, boom. Look at them. Now, don't this guy look like he could be their grandpa? But who is that guy? This guy's a 560-pound ISIS fanatic. Now, I don't see how he can be a fanatic about anything other than cake. But they call him Jabba the Jihadist. All right. But we got 3 more linked to neo-Nazi group arrested in Georgia. Welcome to the show. AS. Shabari. Peace and power. South Africa loves you, and I love you. I love what South Africa is trying to do for humanity. I wish we could work together with the water issue. I wish somehow, instead of sending all this incredible amount of weaponry all over the damn world, we can send some water or maybe a ship to help with taking seawater and converting it into drinking water for folks. But let's go here. 3 more linked. There's a group out there. They're basically scared. Now these guys ain't these guys here, they ain't never owned no slaves. These cats probably don't even really know what Jim Crow was all about. But one thing they do know is what daddy and uncle and grandpa tells them. We hate them blacks. You got to understand, this is very real. The hatred is real. And that's what, man, I'm glad I didn't even see the report here yet. No wonder my spirit was trying to focus in on white nationalists, black nationalists. We got nationalists in all groups, in all varieties. What I mean by nationalists is guys who, if they had the power, they would actually be exterminating people, putting people in ground. That's what I mean by nationalists. All right. Not just, we just want an ethno state. No, because the ethno state leads to somewhere. And what happens when you build your little ethno state and other people who aren't a part of your ethno state? It's like, we don't want to trade with you. We don't want to enrich you or empower you. What do you think this ethno state's going to do? Sit there, okay, we're just going to starve or go back into caveman time. No, they're going to band together and conquer your shit and turn your ass into a slave and take your shit. That's what ethno state's all about. This isn't about some sort of great awakening. This is about the shit. The same old shit that's been going on. Same old shit that's been going on. Now, let's look at this. Biden calls for repeal of laws that shield socials from liability. Okay. U.S. to screen. It's already too late. It's already in the country, by the way. And this is coming from a confidential informant on the West Coast that I have. He told me, or they told me, don't want to be. I want to be gender neutral. It could be a she, it could have been a he. They told me the other day because I reached out to them about that the juice being sprayed, and they said, well, more than likely that's gonna be you just watch. They just said just watch L.A. news, local news, which I will. What is that? KTV 14 or whatever out there. I'm gonna be watching, be monitoring their local stuff for illnesses, specifically pneumonia. So if you see a spike in that, well, then that's what it's coming from. Okay. For those who don't know, hold on. Bernie Sanders and Biden tied. Um, since we're coming out of Christmas time, I think it'll be kind of appropriate to say this. But you could tell the Democrats were not only dreaming of a white Christmas, but they were also dreaming of a white election. Because that's all you gotta had to choose from over there. Old, wealthy, white folks. Maybe they are taking a hint from Trump's victory. The country, they just want rich white folks running us. Instead of just rich, half white folks. All right. Look at this. Look at this madness here. I don't know about this. And that right there is on the edge. And that really means something different than just being on the edge. But looks like the world's smallest man died at 27 today. Dr. Doolittle, some other whack ass movie, apparently is bombing at the at the box office. Here's something for all my friends who are in the media, basically RAM. And I know that the show gets a lot of different people listening to it now. The spirit's moving me to tell you guys, if you want to make the next blockbuster, all you have to do is put in truth. Put in real truth. That's it. That's all the people want is truth. It doesn't have to be one long continuous shot. It doesn't have to be some, MacGuffin laden storytelling BS. Just truth. Make a even an urban story where the young man or young woman's rising up, but they get knocked out from underneath and they fall flat on their face. And then if it wasn't for some nice rich person coming through, picking them up, dusting them off, putting them into a place of power, then they would have killed themselves or something like that. Something that's reality based. No more of this. Oh, I opened up a lemonade stand and now I got a multi-billion-dollar operation. That shit don't happen. On par with I opened up a lemonade stand and the cops came along and said, hey, where's your permit? And they bust me upside the head and they stole my lemonade and what little money I made. Now that would actually be a cool movie too. Don't sell no juice in the hood without a permit. Boy. Never mind. I'm just losing it now. But well, I want to say, and I guess this is one of the most important things to say. If you love yourself, then you should ultimately have love for other human beings. If you don't love yourself, then yeah, I see why you don't love other human beings. Now, I know I totally went way over. Holy shit, almost at an hour and 30 minutes. I am terribly sorry. I did not get to everything. Yes, I've been looking at greenhouses. This computer is just snitching on all of my searches. I look for anything when I come to this channel, man. It's gonna be up. I'm glad I don't look for stupid shit like suppositories or something crazy. And then Preparation H commercials be coming up. I've been looking CNC routers. Yes, I'm rambling. But hold on. I just want to make sure I'm not missing nothing. Because I keep on feeling that I'm missing something. Talked about central banks, all that. Yeah, okay. Well, if I missed something, guys, please forgive me. Join me for tomorrow. Once again, if you're into praying, please pray for me. Personally, just pray. I need strength. I need guidance. I need love. I need unity. All right, yeah. Well, this will conclude TPIM MSR Live for today. If you enjoy the show, please by all means share it on your social media platforms. We can change the world if we can get people to change the way they think. Thank you, Brother Marty. Thank you to listeners and chatters and viewers for all over the world, from Germany to South Africa, from India to Japan, from the North Pole to the South Pole, and all the land masses in between. We are one species. Hopefully, if we are allowed to exist and allowed to continue down our evolutionary path, we will ascend to the stars. We will get to heaven by critical thinking and building machines and devices to transport us there. You guys are a wonderful, wonderful addition to the cosmos. The world might not tell you this, but by God, I'm telling you it right now. You are life. And when any of you die, when any of you are done wrong, we are all worse off. This world would not be anything without you. You humans add. And you do subtract too, but you really do add to the experience. So with that being said, finally I can end. Yes, Linda, we are the soldiers on the earth. If we come together, we can protect the women and children and ourselves from the evil bastards that only want to abuse, control, and debase. So with that being said, today's date, January 18th, 2020, the year of our Lord. As always, live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. As always, brothers and sisters, please, 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 let's try to be kinder to each other. Unity, or not unity, unity, but first we need power. Then we will get the peace. Before we can get the power, we will have to have unity. Then we'll have the victory. And once we have the victory and we have the power, we'll have the respect and the dignity. And once we have all 6 of these aspects solidified in our control, then, my friends, and only then, will we have liberation. I'm out.